Okay, we are live again on the fourth week of Fondbites Bake Along 2.0. And this week, like you've seen on the stories and some of the videos, reels, and posts that I have done on both Instagram and Facebook, we are going to do lime cheesecake, right? So I have everything set up here. I have a cake ring, that's a 5-inch cake ring. I have had some of you ping me and ask me for the size of the ring and all that. So you just wanted to keep the things ready. So to begin making the dish as soon as possible once the live is over. Okay, so let me just check on some of the comments and see if I have to say hi, hello to Sylvia from Facebook. Good to see you guys. I even look forward to every Friday, to check on you guys, and it's really nice to connect with you. And looking at the response that we have on the Facebook group, like how many of you have been baking, like, we are keeping a track of all of your work that you keep completing. So, you know how it goes, right? Like 8 recipes, it doesn't have to be in a row, because there could be recipes using eggs and eggless bakers. If you are not able to replace the eggs in the recipes in which maybe you haven't tried the substitute or something like that, then any 8 recipes if you do, then I would like to call you guys a consistent baker, and a physical fridge magnet which says consistent baker will be sent across to your postal address. Okay, so looking at that, I am just really glad seeing the response that is coming on the Facebook group. And I'm just really waiting for the 8th week, like one more month to be over, so I can have the first set of consistent bakers. I'm just looking forward to sending you the fridge magnets too. Like, how many of you are going to finish all 8? And like, say maybe you missed out the 7, and then you can wait for one more week to finish. So it doesn't have to be in a row. Any 8 recipes during this entire time, then you will be a consistent baker. Okay. Okay, so quite a few of you have joined. So now let's get into the recipe. Any questions, you could just type it down. My team is here. Nila is there to answer your queries. But at the end, I'm just going to look into the monitor to see if there are unanswered questions. Then I'm going to be there to answer your doubts. Okay. So the first thing I have is a cake board. Like, say you can make it for your home, but obviously the good thing is to make it for an order or send it out to somebody else. So in that case, what are we going to do to keep the cheesecake sturdy enough for travel? So have a cake board. Okay, and that's a 5-inch ring, and this recipe quite suits the size. Then now if you're going to make it in a bigger ring or a bigger spring form pan, is quite good. But I like it in this. I feel like I have more control because I've been doing on the rings. Now, the inside of the ring, you could line it, or if you don't line it, then you need to have the hot air gun or a blowtorch, so it is easier to release. But I feel, to just keep it safer, we will be lining the inside of the ring. And to line the inside of the ring, what I have is an OHP sheet. Okay, and OHP sheet is quite easy to get in any stationery shops. And what I'm going to do, just cut it into half. You could measure the height of the ring and do, but otherwise it's fine to have a little hangout, a height a little extra to the ring is quite fine. I'm just going to cut this into half. These are the presentation sheets that you get from any stationery shop. Don't buy like too many. See, there are I think entremet strips that are available. Like, this strip is available in rolls, but they're like, unless you make quite a lot, they are really not needed. But then, to start with, if you're just doing it for the first time, you're just going to try it out, then one OHP sheet from a local stationery shop is quite good. Now I just cut this one A4 sized OHP sheet into two, and then I'm just going to join the short sides together. And you can see I'm just going to put overlap a little bit like this. Okay, and then place it on the counter. And then I have a sellotape that I'm just going to use and stick the sheets together. I'm sticking on one side. Okay, I want to stick on both sides. I'm just trying to keep it straight. And then I'm going to flip it and then stick on this side. So there is this flap that will be open on the back side, which is the side that was facing down. I will be sticking that as well. And now so both the sides will be sealed and it's not going to go into the um, layer that we are going to do now. What we will be doing is a digestive biscuit layer. Now this excess, let me just cut off. And on this side as well. Okay, so that will be the inner lining. So then I have the board. I just want to see if this is quite enough. What I'm going to do, put it inside. I don't want too much overlap, so that excess I'm just going to cut. But you don't want to leave these gaps there. So you want to put it inside the ring and then stretch it out as much possible so it tightly seals itself together. Now we could leave it out like this, or we could take it out exactly in the position that this fits into the ring properly and tape the side. I just want to put it in one more time and check where exactly it fits. I just want to stretch it out. Now let me remove this excess first. So I know that much is sure not needed. Put this inside. And stretching it out, holding this part really carefully so I know where exactly they are going to meet together. So holding it in place without changing its position, I'm just going to stick this here. This once is enough because we will be removing that when we are going to take it out of the freezer once it is set. Now this excess can remain, this excess can remain, or to keep it simple you can go in and cut the one that I have made yesterday. I don't want to make it this morning because I wanted it to be set quite well. Just going to hold it properly because this we are not going to add in anything more than the height of the ring. So this OHP sheet hanging in excess than the height of the ring is actually not needed, unless we could do that, like say if you're going to layer a cake and then if you want the walls of your ring to be a little more, then you could just leave that hanging. But for me, I just want to pour the cheesecake mixture inside and I also want to add the biscuits in, and so I don't want the excess OHP sheet to be hanging there, so then it is going to make it difficult for me to go in and put the biscuit layer. So now you can see the inside is lined. Now the bottom also I just want it to be lined, for which I'm going to use aluminium foil. So with the inside lining, I'm just going to place it on the aluminium foil and then just fold the outside gently. Don't put, like you can add little more pressure in a while, but then initially try to put lesser pressure so you don't tear the bottom. You don't want the bottom to tear up. So this edge has to be safe. Obviously, we're not going to pour anything like directly into it. It is just going to be the digestive biscuits layer for the cheesecake. So the recipe card just posted for you to take a look at. So the measurements of the ingredients I'm not going to say now, which you can refer from the recipe card. Now the ring has been made, and now we are going to set this aside until we are going to keep the biscuit base ready. Now I'm going to put this aside, and the next step will be to have biscuits. Now, for the biscuits, the Mari biscuit thing is not my favorite. Okay, it just gives me mud kind of a feeling. It doesn't add any extra value to the cheesecake. So I have used the digestive biscuits, and that extra fiber in that, it gives a little more added flavor, which I feel goes really well with any other flavor of the cheesecake that we are making. So my preference is not the Mari biscuit thing, at least for this purpose. So this is the digestive biscuit, and it's been processed in the mixie nicely well, and that is added here. And into that, I'm going to add melted butter. I'm just going to make a well. Okay, and then some icing sugar. And into this lemon zest makes a world of difference. Now, why maybe in cheesecakes, like I'm not sure, however, you've made it before, the base kind of really has the biscuit and the butter, okay, but then the extra added sugar and this lime zest especially makes a world of difference. That extra flavor coming from the base also, as you are scooping it through your cheesecake layer, just makes a lot of difference. So that zest you don't skip from this layer. Okay, now after mixing, you can just start using your fingers, which is definitely okay. And now I'm just going to get the ring also. Now let me just give a one good mix. So I can be sure that it's thoroughly mixed before I add it into the ring. So now this is done. I'm getting the ring, the prepared ring. Into this, I'm just going to add the prepared base. I'm going to tighten it up. Now first let me add it to the base and then start putting it to the sides as well. First, with your hands, just portion them out on which side you need more, or whether the bottom is having equal thickness. Is there a place where the bottom is just maybe a little too thin, or then certain place it's like too thick? So with your fingers, just observe where you need more, and then once you feel the base has quite good quantity, and then using your fingers itself, then go to the sides. And do you really need to get the sides straight, the edges, I mean the top edges, it doesn't matter, it can look rustic, but then if you want to keep it straight, I did quite work on that, maybe used my the knife and then just chopped the top, trying to make it even. Let me just turn it around so I can see if I have managed to cover all the sides. Just with my hands, I'm just making sure if there is enough. Now you don't want to keep like any of the side quite too much of biscuit like on one side of the biscuit wall, and maybe just gently I'm taking it out to the side where the thickness is not much. So I'm just trying to evenly keep the biscuit layer. Okay, so now whatever I could do with my hands I have done, and now let me just wipe off my hands and little bit on the table. Now what I'll do, like in the recipe card I have mentioned, you can use any shot glass, or you could use anything. What I have here is a glass like this, and the base is flat. That's what you want. You cannot have a glass where the rim is raised and the inside is a little with a depth. You can't use that. You want a flat base, and then go on and press down on the bottom with, you will know like what is too much pressure. Like, are you really going to break it up? No. But then too little pressure is not going to even out the biscuit layer. Then on the sides now, you press it, hold on the ring on one side, and then just press it with this, making sure the biscuit layer is firming up, it's tightening up. And also on the bottom, you are making a very prominent ring at the edge at the bottom. And so when you cut through the cheesecake, once it is set well, then you will have a nice slice. Now here at this stage, what I did was to go around and look and level the top. Like if you're making it for your home, for your family, it doesn't matter. But if you are sending it out, I mean, if you're going to call it, and also keep it in your mind that it is rustic, all this step is actually not needed. But then if you are a little obsessed with, trying to make it neat, or leveled up, then um, you cannot get the same level while you are pressing it down or working with your fingers. But then once that's done, you could get some height. You can make sure that this step is going to give you a even height throughout. Now whatever excess that I have just taken out, now I can see this one part is a little too thin on the sides, where I'm just going to go in and press it out there, and then again I'm going to use that glass and then press it. Now I know I worked out, I pressed quite well, and then I also cut off on the top to make the height of the biscuit base on the sides same throughout. And then now I'm going to use the shot glass again and go in, because whatever I've just removed is just made it a little uneven inside. And one little more time, I'm just going to press it around. And now this layer, once you've pressed out really well and the base is made, now this is what you will have to expect at the end of this first step, which is the ring that is made, and it's quite firm and set. And but this is still soft because you can still change its shape, right? But now this has to go into the freezer until you are ready with the rest of the steps. Like we are going to get the cream cheese, and then we are also going to get the whipping cream and beat it together. Until then, this has to go into the freezer. When you are working, put it in the freezer where the water becomes ice, that freezer. So it has to firm up, because we are going to get the cream cheese mixture and the whipped cream mixture together and pour it inside this, and then again it will go into the freezer. Now it will not stay in the freezer all the time, but it will come into the refrigerator, the chiller, where the water remains cold. From that part is where we will serve this dessert. But to initially firm them up as quickly as possible, it has to go into the freezer. Now putting this aside into the freezer, I'm giving it to go into the freezer. Then after which we are moving on to beating the cream cheese. That will be the next step. Now, I have the KitchenAid and the glass bowl. I need to fit it with paddle attachment, and this paddle attachment comes with a silicone blade because I want the glass bowl to get scraped so you could see what is being added inside. Okay, so now for the first step with cream cheese, the cream cheese that I have used is Delecta. You could use any cream cheese. Philadelphia is a brand that is really good, but it is a little expensive. You can also use Britannia, and then I can think of Delecta. Anchor also has cream cheese. Anchor is a brand which also has cream cheese. So the point is you can get any cream cheese that is available to you. What you cannot use for this purpose is that cheesy spread, cheese creamy spread. You know, there are confusing terms on the packet that you, when you buy, they are sometimes they are just the ones that will be used to spread on the bread and then, like, you know, eat it. So there are confusing terms which I have seen. So you have to look for the term cream cheese. Okay, and that is what you can get. You can try any brand that is available to you, and if you do not have access to cream cheese at all, you can Google for how to make your own cream cheese at home. It starts with butter, and you can add some vinegar or lime, and then it is more like making the paneer, and then you process it into the mixie and allow the excess water to drip. When you place that entire thing on a sieve and keep it in the fridge overnight, the excess water drips off, and then you process it in mixie again and have a creamy, soft cream cheese. But then I am not a great fan of making at home because the sourness from the cream cheese is very important. That adds the actual flavor that is needed for the dessert. But then when we make it at home, how much lime juice are we going to add to, you know, turn the the milk into the curd, and then, you know, curdle it and then process the rest of the stuffs, and how much vinegar are we going to add, how are we adding salt into it. So the actual flavor of the cream cheese that we make at home, I cannot promise what flavor is it going to give for you to the rest of the dessert. So if you are a beginner working out on cream cheese desserts, buy the cream cheese whatever is available to you, and try to source the change your brands to see if it is having any aftertaste or if it is giving you the right flavor. It has to be sour, it is not going to be sweet. Cream cheese is meant to be sour. So what I've used, I really like this. I also like Philadelphia, also like Britannia. So these are the brands that I could suggest. Now this I'm just going to add into the bowl of the beater. Okay, then I'm going to beat that for say 2 to 3 minutes until it just becomes lump free and creamy. And then on top of that, I'm going to add sugar, and I'm going to beat on medium high speed for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to wait until the sugar is completely dissolved in the process of beating together with the cream cheese, because you don't want the granules of the sugar to remain, because and that beating process is going to help you dissolve the sugar with the cream cheese. So beating this for a few seconds until lump free, then I'll add sugar, go on for 3 to 5 minutes until the sugar dissolves and becomes creamy. So I'm going to add the sugar and beat on medium high speed for 3 to 5 minutes until the sugar dissolves and this becomes creamy. So it looks creamy now. There's a little bit of the sugar granules that I see, but I'm going to add, what else do I have to add with it is the lime juice, the lime zest, and some vanilla. I'm going to add and then allow them to get incorporated. In that time, I am expecting that sugar granules to dissolve. So lemon zest goes in, the lime juice, and the vanilla. I'm just trying to use up the vanilla. Like I've told you before, vanilla is so important to me. What I've used is the vanilla extract and not the artificial essence. Now I'm just going to combine everything together on medium high speed. So now the zest, sugar, uh, the lime juice and vanilla, everything is incorporated into this. Now you can check the texture. At this stage, it is going to look quite runny, but you don't panic because it is fine. And the final cheesecake is going to be quite good. Don't worry about it being unstable or if it will, kind of ruin uh, or just flow out or anything. The base that we've made is quite good. The wall that we've made is good enough. And so I just wanted to tell you it is fine that at this stage addition of so much of lime juice is going to change the consistency of the cream cheese. And do not panic, wait until we are going to add the cream. So to talk about the cream that I'm going to use and I have used in the trials is a dairy cream. Now, I'm just going to give it a mix up. So now this being runny is no problem. I think I just scraped down the wall once in between. That should have been done. So I'm just going to add the beater blade back and beat it again because I can see the lumps of the uh, cream cheese. So I'm just going to get stand mixer back because you don't want the lumps of cream cheese. What I could have done, I could have stopped in between, scraped down the sides myself once, and before removing the bowl, I should have beaten it earlier. So now it doesn't matter, but when you see the chunks of the cream cheese is not mixed up really well. I'm just trying to, okay, I fitted this in. I'm going to beat until I just want the entire cream cheese to completely. sticky. So now it's mixed up well. Like I said, it is going to turn runny, and do not worry. I'm just going to scrape off and keep the paddle attachment away. Now the next I will have to beat the whipping cream, and I have another bowl, and I'm going to use balloon whisk for that. Now I'm just going to scrape down the sides and then keep this aside, which I'm going to mix up with the dairy cream once the dairy cream is whipped to stiff peaks. Now I was just starting to talk about the cream that I am going to use now. But I said I wanted to use dairy cream only because that adds again a world of difference to the flavor. And adding the non-dairy for making the cheesecake, I think I'm not going to recommend that, but it is technically not wrong to use that. You can use non-dairy like brands like the Tropolite, Riches, Vivo, Royal, whatever is available to you, the ones that you use to make the whipping cream cakes, you can use that. Technically, it is not wrong to use that. It is going to set well as well. But then the flavor that you want to have in the cheesecake that you're making, that dairy is what is going to add a world of difference. What I have used is a brand called Anchor, and it is 35.6% fat, I feel, if I'm not wrong, or it is anywhere in between 35 to 36% fat. So if you are going to use a dairy cream for this purpose and you want it to whip to reach stiff peaks, the fat percentage should be minimum 35 percentage. So the brands that are available in India are L and Wire or Anchor. Okay, and the Amul's red pack is 30% fat. I did try it out yesterday to see how stable it is. It is quite fine, but then what I'm going to use now, I'm going to whip, and then you can see the stiff peaks are going to form. But if you're going to use the red Amul, which says whipping cream, you're not going to get stiff peaks, but then you could still go ahead and use that. You could use a stainless steel bowl with a stainless steel beater, freeze, keep it in the freezer or chiller overnight. Chiller is the fridge, and keep the vessel in which you're going to beat the Amul red very cold, and take the Amul red from the fridge and use it directly very cold and keep beating. Maybe you could also try having an ice bath. And if you are a person who's been using the red Amul for quite some time, you know how to get to that decent stiff peaks, that you could just mix it up with your desserts and use. Maybe you can also have an ice bath. Ice bath is like have ice cubes in another bowl, and then place this bowl into that bowl and then keep whipping until you have some decent stiff peaks, which you could just go ahead. After this process, I'm going to mix up this whipping cream into the cream cheese and then pour it into the base that we have already made. So if you have access to 35% plus fat dairy cream, then that is the best that I suggest to use for this recipe. If you do not have that, go ahead, use red Amul whipping cream. That works quite fine, but it is a little unstable, but for which we have made the walls of the cheesecake, the biscuit layer, quite high, and this cheese filling is going to be within that. And with a OHP sheet that is going around on the biscuit base, it will be stable to be there in the refrigerator until it is ready to be served. And if it is going to travel, then yes, little precaution has to happen. Go take it in an AC vehicle, and once it reaches your client's place, it has to go into the refrigerator immediately for the cream to firm up. And that is when it will be ready to be cut. So you cannot keep the cheesecake in the room temperature, like say maybe more than half an hour, and then try to cut and serve. It's not going to work. That will not work even with this 35 plus fat. It is a cold dessert and has to be served directly from the fridge. So the difference between using 30% fat, which is the Amul Red, and 35% fat, which is the Anchor brand or even Ellen Wire, is that will be how much stiffness can I beat the cream. So like I said, the third option, if you still feel you do not have access to any of the dairy cream, you can go ahead and use the non-dairy whipping cream that you use for making your regular whipped cream cakes, at least here in India. So I have the cream that was measured, and it has been in the fridge like say 5 minutes back before I started talking about it. So you cannot keep it in the room temperature and then begin beating. So now this I'm just going to add into the bowl. It's really cold. And then I'm going to beat. Now you cannot, oh, if you are a beginner to dairy cream, and if you are actually using 35 fat, then you cannot overbeat it. It could try to turn into butter curdle. Now don't panic for that, because trying to get access to dairy cream and starting to understand how to use it, I feel, is very important when we are going to work with cakes and desserts and whipped cream and all. I'm just little struggling to fix this ball in the KitchenAid. Now it's fine. So I'm going to start beating this. If it is dairy cream, I'm going to start with slow speed, okay, and then wait for it to slowly become a little stiff, and then a little stiffer, and then stiffer, and wait for the um, stiff peaks to form. And I'm just going to stop the moment I feel happy about the stiff peaks. Now if I'm going to overbeat and wait for okay even stiffer peaks than that, then maybe I am going to make butter out of this, which I don't want to do. I just wanted to show how the consistency is. It is quite soft now. Okay, you can see. Okay, it is quite soft now. So for which I have to continue beating for some more time. But I'm just keeping a careful watch to not let it overbeat. But it doesn't matter. But it has taken quite so much time to reach the stuff. This peaks. This is not even any peaks at all. But then it has taken this much time to come here, and then it is going to stiffen up, which we are going to see. And now just within few seconds maybe, right, like that's good. No, the good thing about watching it live, you can just check how the consistency changes as you're watching. Now you see, now it is soft peaks. Now I will continue and beat for some more time. Again, now I have to be careful not to overbeat. So I'm just going to stop with this. You can see it is holding the shape. Okay, and let me just take out the excess from the beater, and I'm going to remove this ball. I'll show you how the texture looks. And now I just need these two bowls. This KitchenAid, let me set it aside. Okay, so this is the cream cheese mixture, and this is the whipped cream. Okay, so now, okay, so this is the texture. Okay, now into this I'm going to mix up the cream cheese. Okay, little by little, in three parts I'm going to add. I'm going to mix this up again, scrape down the bottom of the bowl, and just spread it out. I don't want to add the entire thing because it could, soften up or deflate the whipped cream that we've just beaten. So let me just move this aside. And then now I have to be careful in mixing it up, trying not to change the texture of the whipped cream that was made now. So I'm cutting and folding, just going to the bottom of the bowl and then turning the spatula and then just pressing it down in the middle, doing the same thing, going to the bottom, pressing it down, flipping it over, going to the bottom and flipping it over, and do not over mix. And now the second portion, I'm just leaving one third portion to come back and then mix up. Again, to not over mix, go to the bottom, flip it over. That's cutting and folding. And that will help you not to. So you cannot do this. You cannot use a spatula and go around and then mix it up quickly, because that will change the texture of the whipping cream. Okay, one last portion. Now I'm just going to scrape off the entire thing. So I've added all the cream cheese portion into this. Again, I will continue to cut and fold only, pressing it in the middle and flipping it over as I go to the bottom of the bowl. Okay, so now this is good enough. Now I'm going to pour this into the base that was made and has been freezing until the time I made until now is quite fine. Now I have it here. Let me just give this away. Okay, so now into this, let's go ahead and pour this beautiful, refreshing cream cheese mixed with all the goodness, the sourness from the lime, the cream cheese by itself, its sourness, and the lime juice and zest, everything just pops out. You have to try it out and eat it and see. We have tried it thrice already. We've been trying to test how much sugar does the Indian palate expect, and the original recipe had about some more excess lime juice and lesser sugar. Then that will be quite good for people who really like that refreshing, brain freezing sourness from the cheesecake. I did like that, and my son did like that. But then if we are going to make it, for people who are with a general Indian palate, then we are going to need a little more sugar. I mean, you don't have to worry, everything is there on the recipe card. I was just talking about, as I'm scraping to fill this, to let you know that The recipe was tried a few times, and I have adjusted the sweetness and the sourness to fit into the palate. But then I'm just going to talk about a little more of what you can alter to get this recipe as per your preference. Now, flatten it out. And now, after this stage, it needs to go into the freezer. Freezer again, just a reminder why I keep repeating it, because maybe some of you joined only now, right? And then sometimes there is a confusion which I happen to handle with my students. Sometimes people think freezer is a place where water remains cold. No. So I just keep repeating it each time I talk about freezer. Freezer is where water turns into ice. And now this, a little tap I can do. I mean, not necessary, but then just to be sure, there are no air pockets inside because it's already in the liquid form. So it's just going to set quite well. And now this, I'm just going to put it into the freezer, possibly 4 to 5 hours, after which take from the freezer and then keep it in the place where water remains cold, that is the fridge, or you can call it chiller. That place, leave it overnight, and then the next morning is when it is ready to be even cut and eaten, served, or to be sent out for an order. Now I'm also going to open this out and show you how to remove this from the prepared pan, for which I have another same exact recipe made, and it was in the freezer, like say for 4 5 hours yesterday, and then from then till now it was in the fridge, refrigerator, or the chiller, which I'm going to take it out, remove from the ring, and then show you how to demold this. Now this will go into the freezer, and then I'm going to have the other one which is set and ready, so we can see how to demold, cut, and eat, and see how it is going to taste. Right. Okay, so this is the other version, the twin of it. So let me just open it out. This first thing is to remove off the foil. I'm just going to wipe off. It's just quite firm. Okay, so the foil layer comes out quite easily. The OHP sheet is also quite fine, not to worry. So now this is from the fridge, right? So there will be a pressure that will hold the ring to even the OHP sheet and then the biscuit base as well. Okay, so now to get this whole thing out of the ring, I mean, though it is just trying to come out. Okay, now if this comes out by itself, quite good, because OHP sheet is holding it. Suppose now I am removing, it is coming, but then just in case it didn't work for me the last time, so in case if it is not going to work for you, I'm holding it together to just show you what is the other way of doing it. Okay, so this, you can't use this side because it is too sharp. You need something which whose diameter is smaller than the ring, and that you can place it on top like that. Okay, and you can pull the ring down. So that is one way, and then it is quite safe for you to remove the ring. I'm just going to, and place this. Now here, when you are placing it for your home, it's fine, but then if you are going to use for an order, you need maybe a melted chocolate will be a safer option. Okay, to just be sure, now I'm just using the leftover from the back of the spoon, which I just leveled up the cream cheese layer, place it in the board, and remove off the OHP sheet. And so it's just quite easy. Otherwise, without this OHP sheet, it's like a little stressful. I mean, is it going to come out properly, or am I just going to mess up the entire thing that was made and all that? So this is just going to keep you stress free. Now on top of this, to decorate, I also thought I should decorate and show. Okay, let me just clean up the table a little bit. Okay, I also have a plate after cutting. I just wanted to put it on this. So on top of this, these are the candied lime slices that I had written on the recipe card. Now there are quite a different ways in which you could do the candied lime slices. The blanched or the unblanched, and there are or candied or non-candied, whether can you add the sugar. So that itself was an elaborate subject. I really wanted to make that and show to you, but then to make that, then at least I have to be quite elaborate about it, or I thought maybe I can just talk about it. So it is just for decoration. Obviously this is not blanched, so it's not going to be really good, but that sourness from the rim of the lime slices is going to be there, but it just looked really good on the pictures. So these are just very thinly sliced lime, onto which have added sugar, the granulated white sugar, and baked in the oven for some time until you have them in the form of chips, but then they are quite sturdy. Now I'm going to use this to go around, which exactly I did on the other um, video, the reel that I just posted yesterday, right? So I thought I should do that now. And to one side, I had added the lime zest, and it was really good to eat and to see as well. Okay, so I'm just going to stop with that. I like how this one looks now. That's some lemon, I mean lime zest on this side. I mean, really simple to make. And because I was just explaining as I was doing, it looks like it's quite a process, but when you make it without talking like how I have to do now, this is very, very easy to make, and a simple recipe that you're going to enjoy doing. Now we have this beautiful cheesecake ready. Now it is quite firm. I can go ahead and cut it. Now I have a plate into which I'm just going to keep the slice, right? So it's quite firm. It goes in, and obviously the biscuit base could be a little firm, right? So I'm just holding, just being careful to keep it in place. Now going on, slicing through. It was quite easy. Okay, I'm wiping after every cut. I'm just making sure if I've cut it well enough to remove the slice out. I think the biscuit base is. Now if I haven't cut, then I will just go in and do one more cut to see, because inside that entire biscuit base has to be cut and removed. So that part is up to, if you're sending this whole thing, then it's up to your client. They should know, or you could give them an instruction that when they are cutting, the biscuit base is going to be a little sturdy. Okay, so because the bottom is completely lined with a biscuit base, right? So now this has come out of the uh, refrigerator, and that is the firmness that you can see. Now this will remain in the room temperature For me, the room temperature is there's AC around. In that temperature, it can stay there for half an hour to 1 hour. We had tested that, leaving it here, scooping it out after every 15 minutes to see how it is going to hold up. It is fine when you're just going to give it this out to a client, I mean, or your guests like that. They can hold it with them and then eat it slowly, and it is going to be quite fine. But then now you slice this out, and where should you keep the remaining? Now you had only two guests. I'm going to go ahead and take out another slice as well. Okay, let me see if the cut comes out quite clean this time. So now I have to know the knife goes in, and then I have to put extra pressure on the biscuit base as well. Now this has come out quite easily, and now I know I can even pick it up, just being a little extra careful. Okay, so you can see the inside is quite firm also, because we sure that the biscuit base and the sides is going to hold up the shape quite well. And now I'm just going to use the fork to go in, and so you can see how the cheesecake layer holds up. Now for me to eat this, I need to have both the biscuit base and the cream cheese layer together in the fork, and then eat and show to you how it is going to taste. It's cold because obviously it's a cold dessert. And then the lime I have adjusted. I've cut down the lime like I've told you, and added a little more sweetness. And this is exactly what I would like to have. This much sweetness is what I like in a dessert. But then, if you think you are serving to people who really love the sourness, like as it is, without that extra sweet, then you can cut down the sugar by 10 grams, just less, for what we've added to the cream cheese layer. Otherwise, stick to the other things exactly as it is. Now, you make this recipe as it is for the first time and taste and see how much you are enjoying of this exact balance of the sourness from the lime, and the sweetness is just going to be mind blowing. Now, if you think you can take this with a little lesser sugar, then cut down the sugar by 10 grams, because that is what we started with. And then I felt for our palate, it has to be a little more sweeter. And so the recipe is that the one in the recipe card which is given, follow exactly, which has the right balance between the sourness from the lime and the sugar together. This is just a refreshing dessert. You have to try it this week and let me know how you liked it. Okay, so now before going into the comments, I'm going to read the comments and then talk to you. Now with this, we have come to the end of the fourth week of Fondbites Bake Along 2.0, and it is going to be a series of baking lessons that I'm going to come live and meet you and make and show with the experiments that I have done through the week of something that is really exciting that I want to share with you guys, and see how exciting it is for you to make and share that happiness with me is what I wait for the whole week. And this starting from Monday, I mean, we will be starting the trials for the next week tomorrow, and like that it goes every week, and this is really exciting to meet you guys at the end of the week, and that gives me all the energy pumped up to go on week after week. Okay, so looking forward to seeing you guys on the fifth week next Friday. Until then, signing out from this live. Thank you so much for staying with me. Bye, have a happy weekend.